paneighbor pari kutoitwa dhindindi semuno muheadlands mulocation. Vana vari kuloja vari vega vari kukwanisa kunge vachiita dhindindi vachijoina vamwe vabereki vatigere navo vachiita madhindindi, kuchitohaiwa vanenge vachiridza mimhanzi ipapo vatinotoziva tigere navo. Ikoko ndo kuri kuitwa zvese zvese. Saka ikurudziro yangu kuti vana vedu avo kana vakawana zvinovafadza ndo zvavanoteera. Zvekuchikoro zviya izvi mwana kana achinge adhakwa zvinenge pasina.
As one of the Chapter 12 Independent Commissions supporting democracy, our work is rooted in Section 246 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which empowers us to monitor and ensure gender equality, to investigate possible rights and violations, recommend policy and legislative reforms, to advise the public and private sector institutions on gender mainstreaming, and to take any other necessary action to secure redress where rights relating to gender have been violated. The work we are gathered here for today connects directly to the National Inquiry into Child Marriages, Sexual Exploitation and Abuse of Girls that was conducted by the Commission in the year 2022. You might recall that the inquiry was prompted by the tragic case of Anna Machaya, a 15-year-old girl from Manicaland who died during childbirth after being forced into marriage with a 26-year-old man. Her story is not isolated. It is a painful reminder of the dangers our children face when they are robbed of their childhood. So you'd find that the national inquiry that the Zimbabwe Gender Commission did, it tried to investigate the lived experiences of girls and young women, including those with disabilities. The inquiry also tried to assess the effectiveness of laws and policies on child marriages. The national inquiry also tried to look at the awareness of girls' rights and how we are promoting these rights as a nation. It also tried to compile a comprehensive record of evidence and push for reforms to strengthen access to justice and protection mechanisms. Ladies and gentlemen, the findings of this inquiry were alarming, and they continue to inform our program as Zimbabwe Gender Commission. So you'd find that the work that we are doing here borrows heavily from the national inquiry that was conducted by the Commission. So you'd find that the inquiry, amongst other issues, flagged the vulnerability of children with disabilities who are often hidden from the community and face increased risks of exploitation and abuse. It also explored the complex and multifaceted drivers of child marriages and teenage pregnancies. And we all know that some of the drivers of child marriages and teenage pregnancies are the following: poverty, lack of school fees, harmful cultural practice, inadequate knowledge in terms of the information gap, peer pressure and parental pressure, and the adverse effects of drug and substance abuse. With respect to stakeholders, some of who are gathered here today, the national inquiry also noted that stakeholders face a plethora of challenges that hinder effective response to child marriages and sexual exploitation, which include lack of adequate resources, lack of witness protection for whistleblowers and child marriages and sexual exploitation cases. And our task here today is mostly to follow up on the recommendations. I talked about the national inquiry, but the national inquiry came up with the recommendations. And why we are here today is part of implementation of the recommendations that came out. So you would find that some of the recommendations are to monitor and enhance awareness raising at multiple levels within the communities on child marriages, child rights responsibilities, including distribution of user-friendly IEC material on child marriages and sexual exploitation. You find that today we will be doing a lot of awareness to the various schools that are gathered here today. You would find that we are going to be distributing a lot of IEC materials so that our kids, our children, really have adequate knowledge, adequate information on the challenges around sexual abuse, around child marriages, around drug and substance abuse. So you'd find that we also want to strengthen collaborations with like-minded stakeholders. You would notice that we have quite a number of stakeholders who are gathered here today. Yes, it's part of the recommendations of the National Inquiry that let's use the whole of government approach. Let's use the whole of society approach to tackle these vices. And I'm happy that the CSOs are also here. The government departments are also here to complement government efforts to tackle these vices today. So lastly, as I leave this podium, maybe let's talk about the call for action. As a commission, we are just saying, let's just join hands to create a society where children can thrive, free from the shackles of child marriages, sexual exploitation and abuse, as well as the vice of drug and substance abuse. Together we can build a brighter future for youth in Zimbabwe. His Excellency always says, Nika, Akanei. Yes, we are the owners of this nation. We are the owners of Makoni District. We should build Makoni District together. I thank you. Thank you very much.
And drive from Harare to come to Mount Kame reminded me to why I'm enjoying being in this beautiful country. The warm welcome we received when we arrived impressed on me the peaceful, joyful, and helpful nature that I have come to associate with the Zimbabwean people. Thus, making it easy to understand and appreciate why the relations between the people of our two countries are growing rapidly. So Zimbabwe and Korea established diplomatic relations in 1994, and this is the first time the embassy has actively participated in an event of this kind of magnitude. All right. The vibrancy and versatility of CAS members has directed us to here today. The alumni members all gained experience and exposure to both the Korean and Zimbabwean paths to development. They are keen on how best they can harness their skills to play a role in the development of their country and in the process strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. There has been a lot of groundwork that went on behind the scenes between my embassy, the Zimbabwe Gender Commission and CAS. All those efforts have culminate into this public awareness event that we are participating in today. A true testament of the strong relationship that exists between Zimbabwe and the Republic of Korea. Korea understands what Zimbabwe is going through and stands ready to support and empower the people of Zimbabwe as they seek to become an upper middle income economy by 2030. Korea experienced war and destruction, and it was the ruins and also fought for its independence, just like Zimbabwe. Now, Korea has a dynamic economy that has demonstrated notable resilience. It has a vibrant private sector bolstered by the well-educated labor force. In order to support the youth, particularly young women, and in the process continue strengthening and transforming relations between the people of the Republic of Korea and Zimbabwe, the embassy decided to include young women's empowerment as one of its focus areas for the year 2025. Empowered with knowledge and skills and protect themselves and make informed decisions, hopefully the young women will be able to realize their full potential and contribute to economic and social transformation. Empowering young women is not only a moral imperative, but also a smart development strategy. When young women are empowered, they contribute to economic growth, reduce poverty and inequality. That is why we are gathered here today. A gathering of like-minded organizations with the same objective to promote girls' empowerment, eliminate child marriages, teen pregnancies, and provide services and support for survivors of sexual exploitation and abuse, among other things. Distinguished guests, I sincerely hope that this event will be the turning point for the youth, particularly the vulnerable girl child in Manicaland. Let me conclude my remarks by congratulating Minister Mazuka Kas and the Zimbabwe Gender Commission for this auspicious event. Special mention to all those who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this memorable. Let us continue working together. Tatenda.
sexual exploitation and abuse, teenage pregnancies, and the growing threat of drug and substance abuse, among others. Allow me to commend the Zimbabwe Gender Commission and the Koika Alumni Association of Zimbabwe for executing this unique collaboration where students who benefit from government scholarship arrangement between Zimbabwe and South Korea come back home to implement impactful programming that speaks to the current needs of society as we are witnessing here today. The president of the South Korea Embassy here characterizes the mutual respect and cooperation that ties the two nations of South Korea and Zimbabwe, and more importantly, programming around gender equality is an indication that the two nations, Zimbabwe and South Korea, are indeed established democracies that largely respect civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights that are enshrined in international normative frameworks on gender, such as the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women and the Beijing Platform for Action Amongst Men. Let me also extend my sincere gratitude to the members of the fourth estate who are gathered here today for continuously setting and flagging the agenda for us to find lasting solutions in the fight against child marriages, teenage pregnancies, and contributory vices such as drug and substance abuse. To our development partners who are here with us, your complementary role in supporting national development priorities will never go unnoticed as we effectively confront the challenges that threaten our children's well-being in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers speak for themselves. According to the Zimbabwe Gender Commission's 2022 National Inquiry, which is triangulated data from 283 survivors of child marriages, 92 key informant interviews, 11 public hearings, 20 closed hearings with witnesses, and 24 closed hearings with stakeholders. The following was established that Zimbabwe ranks among countries with some of the highest rates of teenage pregnancies in the region, with the rural provinces such as Manicaland carrying a disproportionate burden. At national level, as many as 31% of girls under the age of 18 were married off, with 4% of these married under 15 years of age. Child marriages and teenage pregnancies are higher in rural areas than urban centers, with 40% in rural areas than in urban areas, which has 21.3%. 20% of young women aged 15 to 19 years who are married or in union have a spouse who is at least 10 years older, and this age gap creates unequal gender power relations, which exposes girls to higher incidences of physical and sexual abuse, including marital rape by their spouses. In addition to these statistics, coming closer to home, I am informed that the National AIDS Council Year 2024 statistics for Makoni District, our host district, adolescent pregnancies 10 to 19 years amounted to 2,083, and it goes without mention that Headlands has been flagged as a hotspot. At this same time, we cannot ignore another growing crisis, drug and substance abuse among school-going children. Reports from the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, as well as law enforcement agencies, show a worrying increase in the abuse of Donkey, Mutoriro, and other harmful substances in both rural and urban schools. Drug abuse fuels school dropouts, exposes children to risk sexual behavior, increases vulnerability to sexual exploitation, and worsens the challenge of teenage pregnancies. This is a double tragedy that demands urgent coordinated action. As government, we remain steadfast in protecting our children's rights as enshrined in our constitution. We are committed to strengthening laws and policies against child marriages and drug abuse, expanding access to child-friendly reporting platforms and survivor support services, scaling up public awareness campaigns to break the culture of silence, stigma, and harmful stereotypes, partnering with the schools, churches, and traditional leaders to safeguard children from exploitation and harmful practices. The responsibility to protect children rests not only with government, but with everyone here present. Every parent, teacher, church leaders, and the community at large. We must all speak out and act against child marriages, teenage pregnancies, and drug abuse. We must turn schools into safe havens where children are nurtured, not endangered. We must transform communities into spaces where children grow in dignity, not in fear. To the students here today, value your education, protect your health, and say no to early marriage, drugs, and exploitation. Your future is bright and worth defending. To parents and guardians, let us provide love, guidance, and support to our children. It is better to open conversations at home than to allow peer pressure to mislead our children. To community leaders and stakeholders, let us join hands to strengthen prevention, protection, and response mechanisms across our province and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, my presence here reinforces the importance we place on child safeguarding as the government of Zimbabwe. Let us all pledge that no child in Headlands will succumb to the vices I have highlighted above, and to the Makoni office bearers here present. Let us tighten our belts and ensure that Headlands ditches its take as a hotspot for the vices mentioned above. Together, let us build a future where every child can learn, dream, and achieve their full potential. I thank you.